Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Attack on Productions. Fluff here, coming at you with another deck profile. Today we're talking about full power Jiren, the Unstoppable. But before we get into it, make sure to like, subscribe. Let us know if there's anything that you want to see us do on the channel. We always appreciate your guys' input. So, getting into the deck, this is a primarily mono-yellow variant of this deck that I wanted to play, and probably more aptly called Quad Strike Jiren. Now, don't be confused, this is not the Quad Strike leader. That's the other leader that isn't really as good. Let's just not kid ourselves there. So, on the front side, we basically have two effects. You can take, when you attack, you take a card from your life, and then you have one of two choices. You can either play a 2 or less Universal 11 from your hand, or you gain 5,000 power and draw a card. Usually we're going to do that first effect, where we get to play a card from our hand. It's the main way that we're going to fill up our field. At 4 or less, he's a hybrid, so we're going to draw one, untap one. On the backside is where the spice comes in. So we've got an auto draw on the attack, but then we also have activate battle. You take one card from your life, and then for the duration of the turn, you don't take damage from your opponent's attacks as long as you have a Universal 11 in play. So we're going to use this to make the game smoother for us throughout the game, and we're not going to let ourselves get aggroed out or caught without defensive tools. So if we don't have to use that, fine, but if we do, it's a good way to ensure that we don't die to like a big triple strike or something like that. So that's the leader. Going into our Universal 11 package, I do run 3 Kunchi Threaded Energy. These basically give all of our energy cost 2 or less barriers, so we don't have to worry about them getting removed to certain jank skills. Then we run the Vaughn Dynamic Blaster. This is just a 1-drop blocker that gets the barrier off the Kunchi. So this is kind of the bread and butter for defending yourself in the deck. Then I do run 1 Kakao Technique Unleashed. This just lets us play a Universal 11 from the drop area, basically herself, if we need an extra 1 energy to make a successor target or something. You see her, great. If you don't worry about it. She's not integral at all. I just run her at a 1 of because I had the room for her. Then probably the MVP of the deck is Binary Blade Casserole. When this guy is played, you play a 1-drop Universal 11 from your deck with its skills negated for the turn. And then also, if he's removed by skill, you also get to do that again. So a great play is to get a Binary Blade Casserole out, play your 1-drop, tap 1 energy, play a 1-drop, tap 1 energy to successor, and then you get to play another 1-drop on top of that. So it's just a great way to thin your deck, so you get a lot of the dead drawy cards out of your deck, but you're also loading your field and your graveyard with the cards that you need to be there as you need them to be there. That is the primary engine of the deck. Kind of looking at other things that we ran. For our super combo, we ran Key Bomb, Support Kakao. The big reason is that we want Universe 11 targets in our graveyard, which if you're familiar with Universe 11, you know exactly why. If not, sit tight, we'll get there. This is a 5 or less life super combo, draw 1. It works perfectly fine in the deck. The quality super combo would probably be kind of nice, just finding the various things that we want over the game. But I value much more having the Universal 11s in the drop area. So we do run 4 of those. Then I run 2 of the Hero Combination Zoirai. These are just fantastic blockers that don't die to battle once. And if your opponent wants to get rid of them, they have to dedicate another attack into killing them. So if you block with Zoirai, and then your opponent tries to just kill the Zoirai with another card, you can block with a Vaughn or another card and protect it and keep it from dying for the turn. So one of these, especially if you have a Nimbus to back up this play, it's really good. Another MVP in the deck is going to be Jiren, Pride of Universal 11. So this is the 2-drop that's gained a little bit of popularity recently. But this you can discard from your hand to play 2 Universal 11s from your drop area. So if you've used your 2 Vaughn blockers and you still have a Kunchi on field, you can use this to grab 2 Vaughns from the drop area. We don't want to charge this card. We want to be using this card over and over again if we have to. Plus, it's another Universal 11 that's going to end up in our drop area. As a one-of, I run the Swift Warrior Dispo just as a combo piece, and it puts a 15,000 body on the field after the combo. It's actually pretty decent pressure where this deck doesn't generally have it. So one of these. You probably saw in the videos this week that I was running the 2-drop topos, but I decided to take those 2-drop topos, the yellow-green ones, out because I didn't actually play them but one game because I had them in hand, but I would have much rather had something else. And I oftentimes had to dead charge myself because those were my only charge targets. So I took those out and I added these, the Infinite Alertness Dispo. So if you have 4 more Universal 11s in your drop area, his cost in hand is reduced by 2. So it becomes a free play target with the leader. But he's also a blocker that's 20,000 that restands itself at the end of the turn. So, and it will not get barrier because he's still a 4-drop on the field. But that's okay, because he becomes a 2-drop in hand, which could be free off the leader, or just tapping 2 energy. There's plenty of turns where you pass with multiple open energy with nothing to do with it anyway. So having this is not a bad idea. My favorite card in the deck, and the whole reason that I wanted to build the deck, is the Dispo Unprecedented Speed. So basically, this is a successor 4 target that is a target for itself. So if you successor 4 on the first dispo, it's a draw 1. And then you use the other 3 dispos. For each successor, it's a draw 2. It's a fantastic way to speed through your deck and find resources that you need. Literally, it's in the card's name, speed. And that's what this is all about. So you successor 4 off the field, you get your draw 1, you swing with a 15,000, you successor again, you get a draw 2, swing with a 15,000, and it's got barrier. So it's another Universal 11 that's going to stick around if you just leave it in attack mode. Generally, decks don't have way to remove barrier targets unless they're prepared for it. Or nichely, some red or green decks can do it. I did mention earlier that we passed the turn with open yellow energy, so we do run 2 draw apes just in case we find ourselves in the situation to be able to do it. We don't want to drown in these, but if we see them, we see them. If we don't, that's fine. If we see them and we don't need it, that's also fine. So just 2 of those. Then I do run 3 of the Vegeta Prideful Transformation. Hint, hint, we are running some type of unison. I will wait till we get there before I talk about it. But just as another blocker, plus we'll tap a big threat coming in. This is actually really good against the Thwarting the Dark Empire SS4 Gogetas. I played against that all weekend, and this was the bane of that card's existence. Then I run Absolute Justice Jiren. This is the 10-drop. You need 5 Universal 11s on the field to get this effect off. But if you do, on play, all of your opponent's rest mode battle cards and energy get placed in their drop area. So like I said, with the SS4 Thwarting the Dark Empire, if we can Vegeta that and then drop Absolute Justice Jiren in the next turn, it just goes to the drop area. And they don't get any value out of it. It's a super feel-bad situation. And they don't get their drop 2, they don't get their warp 2, they don't get the 3 swings with it, and plus they lose the 4 energy that they use to tap to play it. So that was one of the big things that came out of that this weekend. Plus it's a quad strike 35,000, which is nothing to turn your nose up at. So basically, there were multiple times that I dropped this over this weekend, and when I got the effect off, people were like, I just want to scoop, because I just lost my entire tempo. If people aren't expecting this, it's a huge bomb to drop. Plus a 10-drop might as well have barrier because there's only really 1 card in the game that responds to it. Then I do run 2 of the 12-drop Jiren Universe's Strongest. This is kind of the brother card to the Absolute Justice Jiren here. But this requires you to have 9 or more Universal 11s in the drop area. Then it becomes a 6-drop. But this card, your opponent can't respond to its attack. So they can't activate counter or blocker in response to this card's attack. But there are multiple cards that deal with this. So Vegeta's Final Flash being one of them. One of the others would be the Brainwash No More Bardock in hand that can prevent you from taking 4 multiple damage by just critting 1 by using its effect in hand. So you've got to watch out for that. But otherwise, you basically just swing with this, don't combo on it, and just leave it at 40,000 quad strike and let your opponent waste their hand. So, 2 of those. Then I run Furthering Destruction Champa. This is just to give the leader a double strike or a Dispo or something else. Then I run an SS4 Bardock, Fighting Against Fate, another good Champa target. But just to close out the games, in case our opponent is at 1 life or 2 life and needs to be dealt with. The last quad strike in the deck is going to be Xeno Cell. So one thing that you can do is if you drop the 10 drop, and you have 2 1-drops, it's an instant cell target. Or if you have the 12 drop, it's a 1-drop. It's a 1-card cell, which is absolutely insane. And people don't expect it. Because usually, like, dealing with 1 quad strike is enough. But I had a game this weekend where I hit 4 quad strikes in a row. And the opponent just had negates to survive most of them, but died on the last one. So that's why I call it Quad Strike Jiren. So... unisons, I do run 4 of the SS Gogeta Dynamic Unison. We're going to use this to cycle cards out of our deck, plus get 2 Universal 11s into the drop area. We don't really care about the -4 effect, and we don't really care about any other text on the card. Just the ability to put Universal 11s in the drop area, plus drawing 2 or dropping a Draw Ape as part of that is absolutely perfect. So we just run these, and these become like attack targets once you activate your leader's effect. So your opponent can't deal damage to you, they just sink their damage and their attacks into the unison to feel like they've done something, which kind of sets up the Absolute Justice Jiren play. If your opponent taps a bunch of their battle cards just to feel like they're doing something, and then you make them lose them all on Absolute Justice Jiren. So 4 of those. And then moving into the extra card package, we've got 2 Vegeta's Final Flash because it's yellow. It's a staple. I run 3 Power of a Super Saiyan just to tap threats or negate if I feel like I need to have a negate early on. And then 2 Flying Nimbus in case I get into a situation where maybe I don't want to activate the leader's effect, but I want to, you know, reduce the amount of damage that I might take or how many combos I'm going to have to deal in a turn. So that is the deck. This is one of the funnest decks that I've played in a long time. I love this engine. It's probably my favorite engine in the game and my favorite that I've played in a long time. So if you like it, let me know what you think below. If there's anything that you would change or want to see included in this list. If you want to see a more green-yellow list, let me know. I'm happy to do that as well because I love those topo cards, the 6-drops. But anyway, as always, read your cards, know your plays, let us make the mistakes so that you don't have to, and fluff out.